Keith, it's so warm in here.
Okay, well, thank you for coming to hear me talk about reading labels. Kevin.
Sorry.
Be smacking.
I'm not even talking this.
Anyway, thanks for coming out to hear me talk about labels and to kind of give you a little bit of education of when you go to the grocery store how to pick healthier versions of some food. So the first thing on your handout is just a typical random nutrition label. I just wanted to go over this to make sure that everybody understood what they were looking at when you see a label. So a couple of things you want to pay attention to always is the serving size. That's really important because the rest of the numbers on there are based on that serving size. So this one you have 2.5 ounces, which is 1 cup. This is macaroni and cheese, by the way. I don't know, but a lot of labels on the internet to teach off of are macaroni and cheese labels. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, so when you look down here, you want to look, the next thing is to look how many servings there are in the box, and this has 2. And then the next thing would be your calories. So in a cup of macaroni and cheese, you have 260 calories. The calories from the fat is only 30. You want to look at your total fat. These percentages, this daily value gets kind of confusing, and I really don't pay much attention to that. That's based on, for everything out there, it's based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So it kind of tells you how much of the daily value you're getting out of the nutrients in here. I don't pay attention to that because I look at other more important things. You can look at your saturated fat. The fat you really need to pay attention to on labels are trans fats, which there's none in this, and we'll get to a little loophole in the government laws about labeling when it comes to trans fats. It tells you cholesterol, your sodium, total carbohydrates. So in 1 cup, you're going to get 47 grams of carbohydrate. That's really important to know if you are looking to lose weight. That's one macro you really need to pay attention to. And 47 grams is a lot when you're looking at your diet overall for the day and your carbohydrate intake. There's 1 gram of fiber in there. The other key thing to look at is your sugars. If you're interested in weight loss, it's really important to stick to 5 grams of sugar or less on a label. The higher you get up, that's just more sugar, that's more carbohydrate that you're putting into your body. Then you get protein, 10 grams. A more important thing to look at when you're looking at a label, the first thing I look at is I look at what's in the product, which is down usually at the bottom of this. Because if there's bad things in there, I don't care about the rest of it. So let's look here and see. We have, remember the first 3 ingredients listed in this listing is what the majority of the product is made from. So those are really important, what is sitting in those first 3 ingredients. So you've got enriched macaroni, which is wheat flour, niacin, iron, a bunch of vitamins. The next thing is cheese sauce mix, which is whey, milk fat, milk protein, salt, something I can't even pronounce, sodium something, which is a chemical. And then you also have the next preservative, which is very common in a lot of our food, is the citric acid. And people might say, well, that's what's in citrus fruit, like lemons and oranges. But this citric acid is a chemical. It is not, they didn't take an orange and squeeze it into spots. That's man-made out of the lab. And I just read that they extract that from black mold. That is what is in your house that you hold, could potentially be in your house. That's what they pulse this type of citric acid out of. So I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat that. So this has a lot of dyes, which we also don't want to eat. A lot of dyes we're finding lead to allergies in kids. That's why one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of allergies in these kids is because of all the dyes and the artificial coloring that they put in the food nowadays. And then it's a little warning down at the bottom that says it contains wheat and milk. That's also for people who may be allergic to wheat or lactose intolerant. So that's what a typical label looks like. So when you're looking at that, just remember, if you sat down and ate that whole box of macaroni, there's only 2 cups in there, which I don't know, I could potentially sit and eat 2 cups of macaroni if I was really hungry. Then you got to double every one of those values, okay? So you wouldn't be getting 260 calories, you'd be getting nearly 500 calories just in your macaroni and cheese. So pay attention to that. Now, the next thing we're going to go over is I just randomly picked 3 or 4 different common things that people eat and compared a common one out on the market and a healthier alternative, because I go around reading labels all the time. So the first one is Jif almond butter compared to Simple Truth almond butter. Remember the byline for Jif, choosing mothers choose Jif? When I looked at this label, I kind of laughed in, because I'm like, I thought I was choosing mother, but evidently I wasn't, because you'll find out why. So in 2 tablespoons, you can look across the board. They're the same serving size, the same roughly number of servings per container. Calories are basically the same. If you start looking down, you're going to see there's a little bit more fat in almond butter. It's a healthier fat, though, than what's in peanuts. It says no trans fats. We're going to come to that on this label here down below. And then cholesterol, your total carbs in your Jif almond butter is 8, over in almond butter it's 7. Fibers are the same. There's less sugar in almond butter than there is in peanut butter, and the protein's the same. What's key here is look at the ingredients. You only have dry roasted almonds in the almond butter, but look at all the ingredients in the Jif version of almond butter. So you have, remember, what's your first 3 ingredients? You have almonds. Your next one is sugar. The next one is hydrogenated vegetable oil. Oils, not just one, which you definitely want to stay away from in your diet. These are man-made industrial seed oils, which are not healthy, and a little governmental loop that they allow. A hydrogenated vegetable oil is a trans fat, but they didn't list that on the label up under trans fat because the government allows it to be less than 0.5 in the ingredient. They don't have to tell you that there's trans fats in there.
Less than 0.5 grams?
0.5%. So if you go through and you're eating several items in a day that you think doesn't have trans fats because you didn't look at the ingredients and it truly does, then that's a cumulative effect that's going to affect your health. Okay? That's why I always look at the ingredients first. That's kind of like my screening tool, because I would have saw that and I would have said, nope, this is not for me. I would get the almond butter. Okay? People always say, well, I like peanut butter. What's wrong with peanut butter as opposed to almond butter? I get asked that all the time. So all I have to say about that is it's, I guess technically a personal preference. You get more antioxidants and more health benefits out of almond butter than you do peanut butter. Peanut butter is easily get addicted to. If you eat peanut butter, typically people love peanut butter. It's comes from a legume. It's not even really a nut, and legumes are sometimes hard for people to digest, especially if they're not sprouted or soaked or cooked. So peanut butter can cause more bloating because it's difficult for us to digest legumes because they're a seed or a bean, and that's a plant's life force for reproduction. So they're protected with a very toxic coating, and that's why they're not meant to be eaten. That's nature's way of protecting the plant. So that's why I stick with almond butter or cashew butter rather than peanut butter. But that's really a personal preference. The next thing here is granola, because Miss Sharon asked me about granola. So I just picked random because Kind seems to be a really popular brand among people for protein bars and all that. And so I compared homemade granola. Let me just say that the majority of granola out on the market is full of sugar. It's going to be really tough to find one that is low in sugar. I don't eat granola for that reason, but if I did, I would make my own so that I could control the type of sugar that's going in. So you can look down. So in a half a cup of granola, Kind granola, you have 220 calories. In the homemade version, we have 280. Not too much. Fat calories are 60, but look at the fat in the homemade granola. How much less it is than the store-bought granola. It's at 27. Saturated fat, you have more saturated fat, which is not necessarily a bad fat. It's a good fat. Is higher in the homemade granola because you're using real nuts and different products like that, which is going to add to that. The carb count is significantly lower in the homemade granola than in the store-bought. Fiber is, I didn't have any fiber listed on the homemade granola, or sugars, but the protein's a little bit more in the homemade granola. So look at the ingredient listing. In the store-bought granola, we have whole grain blends, which are multiple different kinds of grains. The next ingredient is dried cane syrup. Now people say, well, that's healthier for you, isn't it? Well, it still breaks down to sugar and glucose in your body. So keep that in mind. The next thing is coconut, which is okay. Then we have honey, another sugar. The next thing is canola oil. Canola oil is an industrial seed oil, like I said before. If you want to go online and watch a video of how they make canola oil, it's disgusting. It really is. Just go to YouTube it. It's really interesting to see that process. And we'll talk a little bit about why these oils are bad for us. And then over in the homemade granola, you just have almond flour, coconut oil, a couple of seasonings, walnuts, coconut flakes, hemp hearts, and sea salt. Very simple, not a lot of ingredients. It's a seed that had the internal part taken out. You can get them at Fresh Time now. Carries hemp hearts. They don't really have a lot of flavor. I tasted them. This is the first time I've tried them. But yeah, so it's just another type of plant that you can extract and eat the inside of. So the next thing I wanted to go over, I wanted to pick like a very common snack. So I picked salsa and chips because everybody loves salsa and chips. Anyway, so I picked Tostitos natural salsa, and then I picked a cleaner. There's a couple of different clean ones out. They're coming more and more out. The things you want to look for, once again, in these products is added sugar and bad oils. So you can look down at the comparison between the two of them. They're basically pretty much the same. We have less sugar over in the Frog Ranch version, but look at the ingredient listing. This is pretty clean, both of these. So both of these would be, if I was going to pick, it would be because the Frog Ranch contains less sugar. And we have 8 grams of protein in there from probably the peppers. I would say.
Protein from the peppers?
What all plants have? Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That sounds like a lot.
It does sound like a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
But that's what the label said. So
Wow.
I don't know. It may be. Oh, there's more on the other page. That's why. I forgot there's a second page to this. So it's got onions and parsley in it, peppers, vinegar, and salt. The other one, what I want to point out is the very last ingredient, natural flavors. So when you look at that, when they put that on a product, natural flavors don't always, that doesn't mean that they went out. Say you have natural flavors in your blueberry muffins, okay? That doesn't have real blueberries in them. They have those little hard, chunky, whatever those things are. So natural flavors doesn't mean that they went out and got blueberries and squished them and got the juice out and added that in. That meant they are in a lab producing that flavor out of the components of a blueberry. It's not real. Don't be fooled by the term natural. It's unfortunate here in the United States that we do not have the strict labeling laws that they have in Europe, because that's not allowed over there. For them to put a natural flavor on a label and it not truly be them taking that product and taking the juice out of it and putting it in your food. They're man-making that in the lab. So once again, it's accountable. That don't be fooled by that. The same thing with artificial flavors. Artificial, you would stay away from. You would know that that wasn't real. But natural flavors, it's basically the same thing. Okay. So the next thing I looked at was...
Hey, Travis, I have heard, though, about natural flavors. I read an article recently that, a lot of them are actually natural. They can claim them as natural because, as an example, and I don't know, it was some type of a seasoning on a chip of some sort. It was actually dehydrated bark from a tree. And they could claim it was natural because it was off of the tree. And it mimicked, it somehow or another mimicked the barbecue taste or something like that.
Right.
And they go and they harvest all this junk, wood pulps, barks, leaves, dehydrate them and say, hey, that kind of tastes like a blueberry. And then there's your natural flavor.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. That they do that in the United States. That's what's wrong with our country when it comes to labeling our food.
Yeah.
That would never fly in Europe, ever, because they're so much stricter. So back to chips, and I can't pronounce my favorite clean chip. That's a chittle.
Let's just leave it at that.
But yeah, let's just leave it. Let's just say that these are the closest to the chips at Chipotle you're ever going to find, I think. So you look across, you get 1 ounce, which is only 6 chips. That makes me sad. You get more for your money in the clean chip, and the calories are less. Let's see, what else? Look down here, no trans fats. Fiber, we get more fiber, so that's good over in our clean chips, and the carbohydrates are the same. So what I want to say about fiber and carbohydrates is, if you have fiber on the label, you can deduct 1 carbohydrate for every fiber listed. So because they're the same, total carbs and 19 in both these, because we have fiber in the clean chip, we really only can count 17. So it's really lower in carbohydrates. Okay, and let's look at these ingredients. We have whole organic, and I picked the blue ones because Riley loves blue tortilla chips. And people tend to think that that's healthy because they're blue. It has expeller crust, sunflower oil, and sea salt. The other one has organic white corn, organic palm, olean oil, water, lime, and sea salt. So sunflower oil, even though it says expeller crust, is still not the type of oil that I want to eat. Okay, the palm olean oil is from the palm tree. And there's some people that say for sustainability, we should really avoid the palm oils because they're tearing down all the trees and it's endangering some of the animals who eat those types of...
Did you say olean?
Olean.
So that's like is that like the olean chemical that Procter & Gamble created?
Are you thinking Olestra?
No, I'm thinking olean.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's the red palm oil.
That was an oil that they created, and they had to take it off the market at one point because but I did hear they reintroduced it, but they were actually marketing it as if you get a bottle of olean oil, but people were pretty much living in a bathroom.
Well, this is palm olean oil.
That's interesting. I wonder if they've kind of married that just inside of different products.
I looked this up this morning, and this comes from the red palm plant, those trees that they extract this out of. So, is the whole debate, is that healthy and should you be eating that? I would rather have had coconut oil in here myself, but when I'm looking at these 2 oils, I'll go with the palm olean oil because it's from the red palm or palm kernel oil, which, is the less of the 2 evils if I was going to eat chips. So let's talk about industrial oils and why we want to stay away from those. So industrial oils are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, we need omega-6 fatty acids, and they are important to us, but we don't, in excess, they become inflammatory to our bodies. So, and that sets you up for all the chronic diseases that we're fighting nowadays with obesity, cardiovascular disease, cancer, autoimmune diseases that you're seeing out there. They're also the type of inflammation that affects your arteries and sets you up for heart disease and things like that. So we really want to limit the amount of industrial oils that we are eating. They also are heavily processed, using a lot of heat. There's, 4 things that make food go rancid or bad. Light is one, heat is another, chemicals in the air. So think about an avocado, for example. You cut open an avocado and expose it to air, it's going to turn brown because it starts to break down. So when you apply high heat to try to extract these oils out of these vegetables and corn and seeds, sometimes the heat can get as high as over 400 degrees. Okay, and anytime you apply heat to a fat, you start breaking it down. So, and that's why these are bad. So when you're looking at your oils, you want to look, the 2 oils that I use are coconut oil and olive oil, and you always want to look for cold pressed on the label. You don't want to ever buy an oil that's had a lot of heat put on it, because that in itself will start breaking it down, and then it's sitting on the store shelf and exposed in light colored bottles, that the light's further breaking down the oil. So by the time you're eating it, it's rancid, and that's why it creates all this inflammation. Okay, so that's the couple of things down at the bottom. Why I recommend coconut oil is it is a saturated fat, but it's stable when it's heated. And it's quickly, because of the type of fatty acids that are in coconut oil, it's quickly metabolized through your liver and used for energy and not stored. It breaks it right down into ketones, and that's a fuel source that your body will use. They are finding that ketones in your body help fight Alzheimer's and some of your neuro diseases. So I use coconut oil for any kind of baking, any kind of like sauteing. I use that even more often than olive oil, because olive oil is, even though there's debate about whether it breaks down when high heat is used. If you're using that for baking or doing a lot of frying with it, there's issues. Some people fight about that. Olive oil, though, is high in monounsaturated fats, which are good fats for us. It contains vitamin E and vitamin K, and it's loaded with antioxidants, which have powerful health benefits. You want to avoid light olive oil. The only kind of olive oil you really want to get is cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. Don't buy the cheap stuff. Don't buy it if it's in a light bottle and you can see it. It should be in a dark bottle so that the light doesn't start breaking it down. And based on the price, if you're going to buy olive oil like at the dollar store for $1, I bet you've got olive oil that's been cut with industrial seed oils. It's not truly olive oil. The best kind that you can buy, they say, once again, because Europe has such strict standards on their food, is if you can get olive oil from Italy. So there's issues about olive oil being cut with bad oils in our country. So just you're willing to pay a little extra and get the cold pressed, then you're kind of ahead of the game. I also included some recipes on the back here. Just a random draw. They're not my recipes. They are just recipes good websites that I go to when I look for new things to mess around with. So you got any questions?
Well, no, I think
So, what I want to go back to is there's 2 things that we're fighting against when it comes to our food: sugar and bad oils. Make sure you don't look at anything else on a food label. Look for those 2 things, okay? Always read what's in your product and know what you're eating. Make it an educated choice and not don't be fooled. Okay.
Where can you find hemp hearts?
Fresh Thyme.
Can you find them in Kroger's too?
I haven't been able to find them in Kroger's, but I don't think it'll be long before they will start carrying them.
I've seen them at mine. How do you find it?
You go back in the organic section where,
Are they in like a jar?
no, they're in a bag.
Oh.
Yeah, and store them in the fridge. If you buy flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp hearts, any of those types of things that have high fat content in them, you want to keep them in the fridge because you don't want them breaking down. And you can't possibly eat. I've had a bag of flaxseed for a long time. It's probably bad because I can't eat it that fast. I just don't use it for a lot of things. But keep those in the fridge. Don't leave them out in your kitchen, sitting by your stove, or someplace where they're going to get hot.
TJ Maxx has a lot of them too. They have a lot of good hemp seeds,
Yeah.
kind of healthy stuff.
When you measure your coconut oil in recipes, do you have to have a recipe engineered using coconut oil, or can you just take like a vegetable oil recipe and put coconut oil in?
Vegetable oils are, you might need a spoon because it's got almond flour in it, I don't know. To convert it over, because I would say go with an equivalent amount. You should limit your cooking oils to thumb-sized portion of any kind. If you're interested in body composition and health, it's usually about a tablespoon. But yeah, I'm sure out there on the web you can find a conversion for that. I don't know, it's been so long since I've had anything with vegetable oil in it. I don't even. Yeah, it's kind of crumbly. They say that the almond flour in here is. This has coconut oil, so you would have to keep this stored in the refrigerator because if it's left sitting out, that coconut oil is subject to room temperature and it'll get soft. So keep anything you make with coconut oil. I would just keep it in the fridge. So
Keep your coconut oil in the fridge?
I don't because I use so much of it, but you could. There's no reason why you couldn't put it in the fridge.
You don't have to.
No. The thing I want to say about oils too, which I forgot to mention, do not, I know out on the market there they have a refined coconut oil, which refined means, once again, they subject that to high heat. So, and it's kind of even off color. Coconut oil should be as white as his shirt. Okay? It shouldn't be.
It doesn't smell like coconuts, then really, right?
Huh?
It doesn't smell like coconuts, then it's fine,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Right.
Expeller pressed oils are oils that have been put and had a lot of in a machine that screws down very tightly and they say that the heat can get high in a machine like that and kind of taint your whatever they're squeezing out. But expeller pressed is okay. If you don't like the taste of coconut, they say expeller pressed does not taste like coconut. I can't tell it. I don't taste the coconut when I use organic extra virgin coconut oil. But if you're a person that's sensitive to that, try the expeller pressed version and see how it goes. Okay. They say you can use that for breakfast cereal. Like people buy granola and put their almond milk on it or whatever. So I don't know. It's hard to find granola recipes out there.
Is a yogurt a good thing to eat or not a good thing to eat?
Well, I'm currently researching this out there. The problem that I have with yogurt is it's usually high in sugar. So I tell my clients who come to us and want to eat yogurt, look for the one that's lowest in sugar. I haven't found one yet that doesn't have sugar in it, unless you want to get like Greek plain yogurt and add a little honey to it, then that's okay. But I haven't found one yet that doesn't have. I was down at Fresh Thyme and they have a lot of grass-fed dairy products, which is kind of cool, where Kroger's doesn't. And I was looking at all their different flavors. So you can just look for one that's as low as possible in sugar. I would recommend Greek yogurt because if you're going to get sugar, I'd want to get some protein with it too, because protein is key for your body. It's very important. So That's what I'd say. Don't buy the kind that have the fruit that you're gonna put in it.
Just have your own if you want.
Yeah, and make it Greek and just get the lowest sugar. Look at your ingredient listing. If there's a couple of different sugars in there, I would put that back. And grass-fed dairy is better for you than standard dairy because the animal, you know, what we feed our animals affects their milk, their eggs, their meat, and if they're fed a lot of grains, then we're ingesting grains that way that are also inflammatory for us. Okay. Yes, Kevin?
Thank you for recognizing me. So, because you said you weren't going to.
Well, how can I not see your big arm sticking up over there?
Thank you first. So, thank you, Jerry and Sharon, also for helping me build the monsters. So let me ask you a question. So sometimes I like to switch off of coconut milk in a smoothie or something like that in the morning. What about, like, I just picked up and I do use your method for ingredients. What about boxed, like, macadamia milk or almond milk? Is anything like that any good, or is that all junk?
Well, first of all, do you know of any milk that they can put in a box and leave on a store shelf that doesn't have a preservative in it? Where does milk belong?
In cow.
It belongs in the dairy section in a cooler, first of all.
Okay, so your answer is no. Okay.
But
But it's organic? No.
That's where I was too, Connie. Yeah.
I just bought some.
Yeah.
is it in a box sitting on a shelf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it have carrageen in it?
I didn't know.
Most of them do. Or guar gum.
I was gonna ask about like the almond milk in a cooler. It has some sketchy looking ingredients in there.
Yeah.
It does. Most of it does. So let's look at almonds producing milk. What do you think they do to the almonds? They have to soak them for a long time. Then they have to press them and squeeze out. And then they're not going to just get a little bit. They're going to apply heat to that to try to get every ounce out. Okay, and then to be able to be kept in a box on a shelf or long-term transport, you gotta put preservatives in that kind of stuff.
So can you water like cans of coconut milk? Because I know we like to use cans. Can you like water that down some to stretch it out into a smoothie or something? Would that be a better way?
So I just put it in my smoothie.
Okay.
I don't.
You mean like to get more out of
Yeah,
it? 'Cause
to
it
get
gets
more out of
really
it.
thirsty
Yeah,
after.
because you're only going to get 2 shakes out of
It's
it.
$1.29 a can.
Yeah, but there's usually none there.
Well, you gotta get to the story for me. I
You
guess.
have to get there before
Wait a minute, your
freezes.
coconut milk in a can is not refrigerated.
Right, but it doesn't have the preservatives in it that the rest of it does out there.
Since
Look at the
it's
label.
canned, right?
Huh?
Since it's canned.
Right, right.
But then they say you shouldn't buy anything out of cans.
That's true.
Well, and that's
So
true.
holy crap.
So
Looks like
you
my
gotta
coconut's
pick
gone.
you know, the native forest, is that the name of it?
Yep.
That we used to be able to get was not in, it was in the type of can that is a BHA or BPA or whatever resistant. Okay, so what I do when I get my canned coconut milk, I dump it out right away into a container, run it through, and you know, because sometimes don't throw it away because it's separated. Don't, you buy one, don't think that it's gone bad because part of it's thick and the other is the water from the coconuts underneath. That's still good. It just has been, anytime like coconuts high in saturated fat, like I said, if it's exposed to cold, it's going to thicken up. So that at the top is what's called coconut cream. It is great for making whipped cream. It's awesome. So when you get a can of coconut milk like that, because it doesn't, they haven't put a preservative in there to keep that from happening, then just run it through a blender. It's gonna whip back up, and then I just put it in the fridge and use it. Okay.
And you don't
No.
use milk, regular milk, cow's milk?
I don't because I'm not a milk drinker. Really, we are the only mammals who drink milk past their first year of life once they're weaned.
Where'd you get that from? Do you remember?
Less than 8 crust.
Well, Donna used to say that too.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
I remember.
Yeah, so I don't drink a lot of milk. I never have drank a lot of milk in my life. So, interestingly enough, at Fresh Time, they really ought to pay me to advertise for them. There is a local dairy. I just sent you that picture. I can't pronounce the name of it. It's in Wooster, Ohio, and they carry their milk. So that means that that's been recently taken from the cows and it's been delivered. It's not milk coming from somewhere else. It would be cool if it was grass-fed milk, which they do carry a lot of grass-fed milk down there, but it's not from a local farm.
But it's not raw milk, right?
No, it's not raw milk. But this farm in Wooster, Ohio doesn't use herbicides or pesticides on what they're feeding their cattle. So that's a plus if you want to drink milk. You know, if you're going to drink milk or you're going to eat dairy, I would say eat full fat. Never go low fat, because when they take the fat out of something, they put sugar in there to make it palatable and taste better. Okay. With all the bliss point and all that, that's a whole other conversation. Okay. So, if you're going to eat almond milk, get it out of the the cold stuff. That's
So
it.
that's the best you would recommend?
If I was gonna drink it, then that's what I would do.
But you wouldn't get the low fat almond milk?
No. Yeah. You know that version, Kev, that you told me about?
Yeah.
The coconut almond
Yeah.
milk. They have an almond milk. They have a whole big line. It
Yeah.
still is
Is
not
there
the.
fewer ingredients in it?
I looked at it,
Okay.
and I haven't drank it since I read the label.
Okay.
That's me. That's me. No, I drink coconut milk. I use it for my smoothies. I use it in my coffee. That's basically the only one I use. Coconut is antimicrobial and antifungal for your bodies. It's got a lot of benefits.
Do you use a Simple Truth or do you use a different brand?
I use Simple Truth now. I used to use Native Forest, but now we can't get it. So I just use the Simple Truth version. They're all pretty much the same. I've used Thai. I've used that other one that looks like it's from the Philippines. I can't even read the label on it, but I like Simple Truth best. Okay. Any other questions? Thanks for coming. My email's on here. Please send me any other topics you want to know about, or
There you go.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other, if you have, like, if you eat this and you want to know if there's a cleaner product out there, email me. I'll look for it and let you know.
All right. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you guys showing up today. Thanks for your time.
Very informative.
Have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Ready break.
On your way out, roll,
Thanks,
read
everybody.
label.
Roll. Crawl. Bear crawl on the way out.
Bear crawl